Hey, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Angela. I upload on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to help you with your weight loss journey, especially if you struggle with binge eating disorder just like I do. Today's video was inspired by the book Brain Over Binge, which I reread last night during a carnival/festival with my son and my husband. We were there. I was eating ice cream and I was like, I feel bingy. I hate the feeling of binge eating. I need to reread this book and remind myself of the helpful tips, tricks, and techniques that the book taught me that helped me stay binge free for 6 weeks the very first time after I read the book. So I'm going to summarize for you what the book says. And these are helpful techniques that I think can apply to anybody who has any urge to binge, whether you have the full-blown disorder like I do, or if you're just somebody that occasionally you feel the urge to binge. So here's what it is. I've talked about this a lot on my channel, and this is so important. Like, this is the key. When you have the urge to binge, just know the source of where it's from. It's because your brain has a glitch. It's because your brain mistakenly thinks that you need to binge eat to survive. Your brain has absorbed the message through a repetition of binge eating that this is as important to you as breathing oxygen. Like, it thinks you need to binge eat just like you need to breathe. So what we have to do is remember that our brain is just trying to protect us. Again, survival mechanism, but we have to remember that that part of our brain is an ancient part of our brain. We call it, you can call it the lizard brain. It could be called the Neanderthal brain, your caveman brain, whatever. When that brain talks to you and gives you urges to binge, what you have to do is recognize that this is the addictive voice that's speaking. And by the way, the book Brain Over Binge was inspired by the book Rational Recovery by John Timsey. And Timsey was the one who created the technique that was called AVRT. I guess you could call it AVERT, but it is addictive voice recognition technique. And what that is recognizing any urge to binge is your addictive voice speaking. It is not the real you. It is not your higher thinking self. It is simply your addictive voice speaking to you. You recognize that it is your addictive voice, and then you detach from it. You separate from it. You can acknowledge it. You don't have to fight with it. You don't have to do anything emotionally charged. You can just very simply recognize, oh, that's my addictive voice. It's a glitch in my brain, and I do not have to act upon the urge that it's giving me. And what I'll tell you from my experience is that when I have the urge to binge eat, I can feel powerless. I can feel like there's no other option other than to binge. That's what an addict feels like. And remembering that I have the power is very empowering. In fact, the part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, that is in control of your voluntary motor movements, the part of your brain that actually picks up the spoon and starts eating, is the prefrontal cortex, and that is the seat of all of your motor voluntary movements. So you simply cannot binge eat. Like, you can't binge unless your prefrontal cortex allows it. So remember that your prefrontal cortex is in charge. You are actually in charge. So when that addictive voice starts talking and you start thinking like, I have no other option but to binge, it's not true. Remember the truth, that that's your addictive voice trying to protect you, but just detach from it. And remember that you do not have to binge. It is not important and crucial to your survival. And you, the higher thinking you, would not binge. And so just remember that these are the techniques that I think are very helpful. It's easier said than done. Another technique that I wanted to speak about, that was kind of like a big broad overview of technique number one. Technique number two is actually straight from Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, the founder of Bright Line Eating. She's very big on meditation. She's like, if you do a daily meditation practice, what that can do is to teach you through repetition to sit with yourself and to sit with your emotions and your feelings, and that can give you the space between the trigger and the action. And what I mean by that is that when you feel the trigger, which is the urge to binge, instead of instantly going and acting upon it, give it a pause and just sit with that feeling, and that can lead you to be able to detach from it and then realize what it is, realize it's your addictive voice, recognize it, and then just not act upon it. So she's very big on the meditation thing. So that's technique number two. Technique number three, this one actually comes from Never Binge Again. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking out on his name. I think it's Dr. Glenn Thompson. He's a PhD, so smart. He speaks back to his addictive voice. He calls it his the pig. That's what it is. He calls it the pig. And he's like, when the pig talks to me, I speak back to it and I argue with it. And so I'll be honest, out of all the three techniques, that's the one that resonates the least deeply with me. But for many people, that might be like something good for you. I think it could depend on your personality. So definitely check out Never Binge Again. He's got, I'm looking at the book down there. He's got workbooks. He's got all kinds of things. Like he basically is like, you name the pig and you basically are like, no pig, you do not rule me. Like you talk back to your pig. And he's like, you do not rule me. I rule myself. I'm not a pig. I'm not going to go binge, whatever. And so I think the reason that technique did not resonate so deeply with me is because I'm an obliger. I'm not the kind of person that's argumentative, but I think for other personality types, that's a very good technique, especially if you have like the rebel personality type or the upholder personality type. From the book, The Four Tendencies, there are four different personality types. I'm the obliger. Obligers, we don't really talk back, we don't argue, but I can absolutely see that technique being very powerful for somebody that's like, no pig, you could talk back to your voice. So those are my techniques I wanted to share with you. I feel like I've spoken about all of those techniques over the years here on my channel, but this is a refresher course because I had a binge episode on Thursday night. And I was like, Angela, get your life together. Remember your, you know how you talk to a toddler, it's like, use your words. For me, I'm like, use your techniques. So I wanted to come on here and refresh everybody on the ways to do that. I hope you're having a great day. Drop me a comment. Be sure you're subscribed to this channel. I have a lot more content coming out soon. I love you so much, and I'm wishing you the best.